Hello friends, I'm Michaela. Welcome to my astrology channel, Todayenergy. This video will be dedicated to our beloved Jupiter. You know from my previous video about Jupiter in Aries that the planet currently transits the first 8 degrees of the fire sign of Aries. But on the 28th of July, Jupiter will station visually from Earth. We will see the planet stopping as if its movement on the sky to turn its direction and to go backwards, to go retrograde. So 28th of July, it's the stationary moment of Jupiter. Jupiter will be stopping at 8 degrees of Aries. Then he goes backwards all the way back into Pisces. On the 28th of October, Jupiter will enter again in the last 2 degrees of Pisces. Then, on the 23rd of November, Jupiter will station again at 28 degrees of Pisces to turn once again its direction of movement and to go this time straight direct. Stationary days of Jupiter, we can consider them at the very least 26th of July to the 1st of August. But of course, we might feel in the public space Jupiterian energies even a week before, a week after the 28th of July. Now I must say, lucky you guys who have any personal planets, points like ascendant, descendant, MC, IC in your natal charts that are either at 8 degrees of Aries, because now Jupiter will be stationing right on these points of yours. So there will be a big blessing from Jupiter to you, to your planets. Depends what they represent, depends what they rule in your chart, what kind of connections they have with other planets in your chart. But generally Jupiter would give big hope, optimism and expansion for you and those areas of your life. Then on the 23rd of November, people who have same planets, points, at 28 degrees of Pisces will also feel the strong Jupiterian blessing. Nevertheless, if you have Sun, Moon, rising sign, Mars, Venus, any other important personal, let's say, planets or points between 8 degrees of Aries and 28 degrees of Pisces, Jupiter will be rolling kind of 3 times on your planets, activating them not once, not twice, but 3 times. In fact, we're talking about really big period. Jupiter entered its retrograde shadow zone. That means that Jupiter was initially on 28 degrees of Pisces on the 4th of May this year. Then it went forward. Now 28th of July it goes backwards. 23rd of November it turns again at 28 degrees of Pisces, and finally Jupiter exits the 8th degree of Aries on the 14th of February. So my point is that whichever planets or important points in your chart you have, let's say at the first decade, basically the first 8 degrees of Aries or last 2 degrees of Pisces, between May this year and February next year, you will be constantly learning, expanding your horizons, possibly traveling, relocating, receiving some important help, faith or blessings from Jupiter, and that's absolutely fantastic, really. What else did I wanted to say? Well, yes, that not only Aries and Pisces points. Of course, we can consider as well Jupiter squaring or opposing or trining some of your points from this path it makes on the sky. So let's take all the cardinal signs between 0 and 8 degrees, and let's take all the mutable signs between 28 and 30th degree. Okay, so cardinal signs are of course Aries, but also Cancer, Libras and Capricorn, and mutable signs are Pisces, Gemini, Virgo and Sagittarius. Plus, I must point out that Jupiter, from its route through Aries, will be blessing, of course, as well, the first 8 degrees of Leo and the first 8 degrees of Sagittarius, the fire signs, okay? And then the last 2 degrees of Pisces, he will be blessing as well the other 2 water signs, Cancer and Scorpio. So quite a lot of people can be benefited by the jolly Jupiter. Now, of course, Jupiter, briefly, what does it mean, Jupiter in Aries, first of all? Once again, you can check my full video on it on my channel, because the transit of Jupiter in Aries is 12 months, as in any other sign. So Jupiter, of course, expands everything it touches. Currently, it is expanding the energies of Aries, which is, of course, the courage, the assertiveness, entrepreneurship, ambitions, curiosity, risk-taking, when we just don't notice any obstacles, we are just go-getters. This is the go-getter energy. Of course, Aries is self-confidence. Jupiter is faith in oneself, in your capabilities, and in the fact that the universe will help you and support you. Jupiter is very much about belief system, about moral code, about justice, about having your own concepts and opinion, your own goals. So having this passion and energy, drive, ambition and motivation of Aries, combined with a clear focus of Jupiter into the future, and this desire for freedom, for something fresh, something new, for adventure, that's absolutely fantastic combination. And yeah, Jupiter in Aries is the fighter for faith, is the fighter for moral, for belief system. It's the superhero energy, and of course superheroes are usually doing what they are fighting the evil, they're fighting the villains. But here, because Jupiter is always very proud of his own knowledge and his own opinion, self-righteousness, we can say, presumptuous sometimes in a negative sense, even it can become quite arrogant. So then it very much depends who is the bad guy and who is the evil that Jupiter in Aries would like to fight, because in the much kind of shady side and negative face of the coin, Jupiter in Aries, of course, can mean someone extremely single-minded and egotistical, biased, very preachy person who sees only his own truth and no one else, and is not able to do any compromises. And so it can become even like a dictator, you know, or megalomaniac even, and just making fights for their own reasons. Now, in mundane level, when Jupiter will be stationed, very much so between the 26th of July and the 1st of August, in the public space, among people, in the medias, I think will be very much accented Jupiterian topics. And they can be in the like mundane astrology. We can talk about borders of countries and of course self-boundaries and movement of people between borders, traveling, adventures. It can, because Jupiter is in Aries, which is a very sporty sign, very much about physicality, so we can talk about extreme tourism, risk-taking, as well. Aries is a fighter, so we're talking, actually right now even an airplane, military airplane is passing above me, so we're talking about unfortunately wars and armies, but Jupiter is the archetype of the teacher, of the judge, the court, the tribunal, so we can talk about, maybe in the public space, there will be news about military moral code, code of honor, legal systems, or military courts and tribunals, trainings as well, sport stars, some kind of famous sportsmen, famous fighters, politicians. Yes, Jupiter represents politics, celebrities, prestigious people and prestigious events. But also Jupiter is religion and spirituality. So maybe there will be news about spiritual and religious leaders, philosophers, teachers, professors, Supreme Court judges, and of course the superheroes, or on the other hand, the ideological aggressors, because Jupiter would know no limits about the massive Aryan ambitions and megalomany. Of course, Jupiter might put on the table questions about freedom and borders, territories. In your personal natal chart, do check where is Jupiter located, in which sign, hence in which house of your natal chart. So what areas of life Jupiter influences for you personally. You can build for free, very easily, quickly, your natal charts online in several websites. I do love astroseek.com. But also astro.com is very popular. So check where Jupiter is located, check which house cusps start at the signs of Pisces and Sagittarius, as Jupiter rules those two signs. Traditionally, Pisces, the modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune, and definitely Sagittarius, because whatever happens with this planet, in this case Jupiter, on the sky, whether it goes fast, whether it slows down, whether it stations to go retrograde, so there is the whole tension and attention towards it, then maybe it goes retrograde, so you will feel it in the areas of life which fall into the houses ruled by Neptune and Sagittarius in this case. So I say the cusps, but if you do use the whole sign system, which means that, let's say you have an ascendant, a rising sign at 2 degrees of Aries or at 28 degrees of Aries, doesn't matter, Aries becomes your whole first house. Hence, Taurus becomes your second house, Gemini is your third house, and so I definitely, like, my forecast is based on the whole sign system. So I will be now briefly sharing with you what you can expect by the stationary and retrograding Jupiter according to your rising sign, so counting the houses from your rising sign. So for Aries that would be 9th and 12th houses, but also currently Jupiter is transiting Aries, so currently Jupiter is transiting first house for Aries. But also check where Jupiter is located in your natal chart, as this might also be influenced. And of course, when Jupiter is stationed, it's like the whole attention of the universe, it's towards this planets. It's kind of intensity. Jupiter itself doesn't feel very good, the stationing planet, so precisely Pisces and Sagittarius might feel a bit dizzy and overwhelmed possibly, and a little bit confused if we talk about 26th of July till 1st, 2nd of August, like should I stay or should I go, change of direction, plans don't particularly move. On the other hand, of course, by the nature of Jupiter, you might feel overly excited, like sky is the limit, everything is possible, optimism, strong faith, that everything is going to work out great, that the universe throws at you blessings, the right people, the right circumstances to help you, particularly with the topics of these houses connected to Pisces and Sagittarius in your natal chart. So there might be luck, there might be, you might meet some teachers, gurus, experts, wise people, astrologers, psychologists who will be able to help you, lawyers, for instance. Maybe you will be planning or even going for holidays, but in this case you should be considerable and careful with the timing, with the schedules, because stationary planet that rules traveling might be a bit confusing and confused about the airplanes and traffic and so on. So be prepared for possible inconveniences, let's say, and delays, but otherwise it's great for goal setting and basically seeing the meaning in the areas of life ruled by Jupiter in your chart. So that's when it's stationed. Jupiter, as you already heard, will be retrograde for 4 months, right? From the 28th of July till the 23rd of November. It happens every year, like every 13 months, Jupiter goes retrograde for 4 months. So, of course, again, we will see for each sign in a minute. Where is Aries located for you, the sign of Aries, because Jupiter retrogrades through Aries and then goes even back a little bit for the last 2 degrees of Pisces. So he will go back to finish some business in your Piscean house as well. And definitely things might seem that they are shrinking, yeah, because when Jupiter goes direct, proud and happy and healthy, then everything expands, everything is in our favor, or at least so we believe, right? We're not very cautious, we are impatient. This is also very typical for Jupiter in Aries. We're risky. People tend to help us, but in this case, like being in Aries, it's about self-sufficiency and healthy egotism, in a sense, like not caring about other people's opinions and so on. If you want something, you go and get it, right? And also if you want to teach someone, you teach with your own actions and examples. But when Jupiter goes retrograde for 4 months, there might be some doubts. You might reconsider things. Things might shrink. Things might go a bit slower. Rethinking your goals, changing, adjusting possibly your perspective on the things, on your beliefs generally, your principles, your faith, your point of view. You have this 4 months not to just give up and do nothing, but reset, rethink, prepare, plan, study. Jupiter is excellent planet for knowledge, so gain some knowledge, read some encyclopedias, go to finish your course, go to finish your degree, take your exams. You have this second chance, even then third chance. So remember, like 3 times Jupiter goes forward, backwards, and then again forwards. You might become more realistic, more pragmatic, more practical, more rational while Jupiter is retrograde, because there is no illusions, because sometimes Jupiter is like a balloon filled with hot air, and now this balloon is a little bit like shrinking, leaving the naked truth and the kind of the bare daily life with its aspects and struggles for us to see clearly. So you might travel, of course you might travel, you might go back to some places that are already familiar to you. You've been there, you might meet old friends from abroad, you might reinitiate, finish or rethink your legal court trials. You might meet some people who in the past were your patrons, benefactors, contributors, and very nicely, I think, Jupiter retrograde can bring back to you some chances and opportunities you missed when it was going direct through the same degrees. For every person, that's going to be something different, really depends on the natal chart aspects and planets and so on. But it's like, hey, once again, I'm here, I'm going back to just offer you once again the missed possibility, so take your chance now. And as we were talking, when Jupiter is triggering some of your planets, let's see what that general meaning might be according to your planets. So for example, if you notice that through this retrogradation, Jupiter triggers, which means conjuncts, squares, opposes, or trines, or sextiles, even your moon, what that could mean for you. Now, I will say the natural meanings of the planets, but you can check also what does the moon rule in your chart, where is Cancer in your chart. So the moon generally means, of course, place of living, home, mom, grandma, important female or elderly female in your life. So Jupiter can bring happiness, second chances to these people, second chance to expand, make bigger your home, make some refurnishing, beautification, repairments of home, applying for visas, for documents to go abroad, to relocate. Maybe you will be offered a job abroad, so you will be moving out. Maybe old flatmates will come again to you, or someone from a different country. Definitely expansion, change of place of living, and dealing with documents or legal matters related to your home. For your mom, that can be a second, third, or whatever marriage. Maybe your grandma comes to live with you. And of course, because moon is how we nurture ourselves, Jupiter with moon might give us a bit extra kilos. Same can go for the sun. When Jupiter triggers somehow aspecting your sun by, of course, the strongest you will feel it by conjunction, but also opposition, square, trine, or even sextile. Wow, those are lucky days really, with great self-confidence, feeling good, feeling assertive, feeling full of hope. Sun is our vitality. It's the body, we can say as well. So you also might gain some extra weight from excessive parties, pleasures. You might feel even a bit tired, but very hopeful, definitely. Business success, career raise, advancement at work, deciding your goal, your future, finding the meaning, the joy in life, and what you do professionally, and generally what is your spiritual mission, what maybe finding your fate as well, and what is your mission in life as well. Big happiness for your father or the father figures in life, and definitely might bring you a husband for the ladies. Same goes for when Jupiter conjunct, squares, opposes, trines, or sextiles your Venus. Venus talks about marriages traditionally and relationships, so Jupiter might bring some suitor from foreign lands, from different cultures, someone who is a teacher, professor, a lawyer, for example. Of course, Venus is money, so Jupiter can bring growth to your budget, earning money, love. Love can be immense, like borderless, feeling happy. Venus is the small pleasure, Jupiter is usually the big meaning and the big meaningful pleasure. So it's about food, massages, delighting your five senses, the smell, the taste, nice new clothes, holidays with loved ones, self-confidence, great self-confidence. You can achieve a lot with this transit, and yeah, be careful with too much self-indulgence and too much spoiling, let's say, of yourself or your loved ones. If Jupiter conjuncts, opposes, squares your Mars 3 times, right, going forward, backwards, then forward again, we are talking from basically from May this year until February next year. But now, especially during the retrograde period, well, Mars is the courage, the ambition, but also the aggression. So all this can be expanded and go overboard, really. So you can experience uncontrollable anger and frustration. But let's hope for the most positive manifestation, which is courage, which is like fighting, exciting spirit. Maybe you'll fall in love and you will be like very passionate suitor to someone, courting someone, fighting for them. Ambitions, assertiveness, all this can be boosted by Jupiter. Wow, if Jupiter conjuncts your natal Jupiter, that means you're having the Jupiter return that happens once every 12 years. So this is rare, this is important, this is beautiful. You usually feel it for around a week or two. It's much stronger than if it's just a Jupiter square, your own Jupiter, or opposition. And oh my God, it means that you will have your Jupiter return not once but 3 times. It's wonderful because look, for instance, my Jupiter is at 23 degrees of Aries, so I'm expecting my Jupiter return, but it's gonna happen next year because now he's covering 3 times just the first decade of Aries. So in my case, it will be just 1 week, you know, or 2 weeks maximum. But it's a time of great pleasure, joy, optimism, expansion, finding the true meaning, the true purpose of what you're doing in life. You might receive presence, support, help, by others, abundance, knowledge, wisdom by some teachers. You might become the guru, the teacher, the expert, famous. You can become famous, if depends in which house your Jupiter is located. You find hope, faith, optimism. You might meet your idols. It's definitely great time for growth, for development, for success. Again, depends what Jupiter rules, where he is in your natal chart. Yeah, joy, happiness, development, inspiration, and of course the sense of wanting and feeling free, like boss of your own life, and the meaning of life. That's great. Now, if Jupiter conjuncts, opposes, or squares your natal Saturn, that's also significant. It's a bit of a different energy, but also brings great success, really material, long-lasting, tangible manifestations. Because, of course, Saturn generally means a time, insecurities, fears, responsibilities, hard work. When you deprive yourself, let's say, from excessiveness, from pleasure, when you're realistic, which is not always very fun, right? But here comes Jupiter and touches the Saturn. So in my opinion, the teacher meets the builder, or the one who has vision meets the one who really has the materials to make the vision come true, become a reality. So Jupiter, first of all, can alleviate, can relieve, can mitigate those fears of Saturn. This is the beautiful aspect of a teacher, of an expert, of a person who has achieved a lot. Material success for sure, business success for sure. So optimism and faith with practicality, that's the recipe for growth and success in whatever, again, area of your life Saturn rules, and where is located, of course. It can bring you really more self-confidence, because Saturn can do things, but Saturn is not confident. While Jupiter oftentimes is too confident, but not always it does the things he wants or promises. So in this case, it's like a beautiful glue between them two. If Jupiter activates by this transit 3 times your natal Uranus, wow, that's electrifying, because Uranus means surprises. And Jupiter, well, it's going to be some pleasant surprises, unexpected possibilities, some kind of a liberation, letting go of something. That's great for if it's in the area of your health, letting go of bad habits. Of course, it might be also overexcitement, because both planets are quiet, like, oh my God, it's happening, yay, let's do it now, right now, we want it. It's genius insights, information, knowledge. It's this kind of aha moment in your life, inspiration, enlightenment. You might meet IT specialists, astrologers, Uranian type of people, some kind of genius people. Your inner genius might be awakened, and you might suddenly, because this is the key word for Uranus, you might suddenly decide to change something, to go somewhere, to relocate, to travel, to go abroad for Erasmus studies, or to university, or to teach somewhere, something like this. If Jupiter activates your natal Neptune, well, it can unfold all the Neptunian qualities in you, which is, of course, inspiration, idealism, unconditional faith, love, dreams. On one hand, you might become very tired, very sleepy. On the other hand, you can become very creative, daydreaming, night dreaming. It's great time to meditate, to visualize, to pray, to dream, to go somewhere on ashrams, on like something like Camino de Santiago, pilgrimage, right? Isolation, to some monasteries or spiritual places, because it's a great spiritual combo for like personal spiritual awakening and finding your faith really, but also finding love possibly as well. It can bring too much of pain, suffering, desire to escape reality. I would not recommend here over usage of alcohol, definitely of any kind of substances, drugs, no, because those are topics ruled by Neptune, and Jupiter might be like, okay, let's try this, let's try that. Too much Netflix, too much procrastination can be as well. But for people who have artistic hobbies or professions, that's a success combination too. And if you visualize truly with your heart, it can bring manifestation. Very interesting if Jupiter triggers your natal Pluto, because that stimulates your powerful inner transformations through Jupiterian topics, like through knowledge, through religion, through traveling, through meeting people from different cultures. It might shake up your core, your foundations, your beliefs, so you can, like, as if you will be reborn. Jupiter might inspire you, inhale in you a completely new sense of life, new meaning. Self-empowerment, definitely, confidence, because Pluto can have a lot of fears, a lot of anxiety, a lot of holding grudges, being offended, remembering the past wounds. Or if it's too much, then people usually swept it under the rug. But here Jupiter comes like a gentle and uplifting teacher who is like, okay, you can trust me, share with me. So it might be your psychologist, it might be your spiritual leader, your priest, if you belong to any organized religion, who can help you experience this phoenix moment of rebirth, transformation, letting go of your fears, of past traumas, and be reborn. Pluto usually means big money, big government, business, bank, people of power, like this kind of Don Corleone for me is usually the personification of Pluto. So with Jupiter, who signifies legal system and politics, you can imagine what we're talking here about. So you might become the new member of parliament in your country, or prime minister, perhaps even, if other predictive techniques, forecasting techniques, of course, are supporting such happening events in your life. Extremism, unfortunately, from the negative side of Pluto, obsessions with someone or something, so try not to become a stalker, too pushy. Yeah, Jupiter in Aries knows no limitations, no, there is no word no. And Pluto can be extremely obsessed with something or someone, wild passion. There might be some revelations, disclosures of some knowledge, of some information that was maybe hidden until then. It might be about you. So the best thing you can do is not fear kind of your, I don't know, your dirty underwear or what's hidden in your closet, but it's about really to open the doors and to expose it to the world and be brave about it. So Jupiter here can help you discover your courage, your confidence, power, determination. You can be truly unstoppable. This is very powerful transit. You might study or become a psychologist, as an esoteric expert. You might be interested in criminology, so you can help other people with your Plutonian and Jupiterian skills. Riches, power can become limitless, but also anger, violence, and control. So it's very important here, because Jupiter, in the very positive manifestation on the top of the scale, of course, Jupiter is unshakable and very high morals and justice. While Pluto is as well about principles, about the truth and nothing but the truth, even if it's ugly, the ugly truth, right? But it's about having the, I don't know, the guts, the courage to be strong, to be open, first of all, to yourself, and then, of course, if you want, to the society and to others, about yourself, and then you behold your power, your true power. All right, so this is what happens when transiting Jupiter activates some of your planets. Now we will go through the 12 zodiac signs. When I do the forecasts, of course, I use the whole sign system. So whatever you have the rising sign, that becomes your this whole sign becomes your first house, and so you count the 12 houses. You can do so as well from the position of your sun. For example, if your sun is in Taurus, you can count it. Okay, Taurus is the first house for my sun. Then Gemini is the second, and so on. And if your moon, for instance, is in Pisces, then Pisces becomes your first house for your moon, for your emotions, how you emotionally perceive what we will be talking about. Or maybe it's somehow more relevant to your mom, or it's about more how you feel, or how you feel at home, right? So I do usually recommend people to listen to all the three signs of your, like your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign, for this complete overview of what the particular astrological event, transit, can bring you into your life. How will you feel? Now, on my personal consultations, and I usually leave my contacts below every video, so you can contact me. I do make two types of consultations. One is the natal chart analysis, natal chart reading, and the second one is the forecasting for 1 year. So on this private personal consultations, of course, we can discuss all the peculiarities of your unique natal charts. But now let's start with Aries. Of course, for you, Jupiter will be first retrograding your first house, then your 12th house for a while, this 2 degrees of Pisces, and Jupiter rules your 9th and 12th houses. What does it mean? Well, at the end of July, first thing first, when Jupiter will be stationing, that's big, intense moment of I can conquer Everest, like I'm the superhero, I'm the teacher, I know the best, I go for my goals. And that's great, really. You can help people and circumstances can be in your favor. That's the last couple of days of July. But then the planet goes backwards. So then already this optimism shrinks into the pure reality, into the real life circumstances. So you have the chance to rethink, reevaluate things connected to maybe first house, your physical body, your health, your relationships with the world, your initiatives. It's great 4 months to plan, to study, to improve your skills, your knowledge, to have advisors, to prepare yourself for the big jump which you can make after Jupiter goes direct again in your first house. Because it rules your 9th, it might mean that some travels might be delayed, or plans can change or adjust. They need adjustments. Maybe court trial is currently on hold for this 4 months, right? Maybe some old friends from abroad will come to visit you, or you go to some place you've been already. And of course, when Jupiter is in your 12th house, he gives you again the chance to be a bit more spiritual, spend a bit more time on your own, preparing for your future upcoming plans, maybe doing some exercises, getting rid of some bad habits, some poisonous, toxic ways of thinking. So yeah, when Jupiter will be this autumn from 28th of October to till late November in Pisces, he will be in your 12th house. It's about the past, it's about endings, spendings as well. So it's also about immigration and faraway lands. So maybe you will go to some spiritual place or some island somewhere overseas, maybe to work on your documents or work online, or it might be some fitness retreat, for example. Dear Taurus, for you, Jupiter is stationing first in your 12th house. So that's going to be the last couple of days of July, and you might feel extremely passionate, extremely happy, optimistic without even knowing why. And Jupiter in 12th is the guardian angel, so you will be really like protected by the universe. It's great time to pray, to meditate, to visualize, to work with your spiritual teacher, guru, psychologist. You can get rid of some bad habits and expand your spirituality, I would say, faith. Maybe it's about also planning your immigration, relocation, traveling somewhere overseas, abroad. But then Jupiter goes backwards, right? So he's retrograde first in your 12th house and then goes for a while even into your 11th house, into Pisces this autumn. So old belief system, definitely you might revisit. It's time to let go of some things which no longer support your development and growth. Bad habits, letting go of bad habits, getting back to some old spiritual group, society, or person, leader, teacher. And then 11th house. It's about your own goals and dreams for your own future development. So Jupiter wants you probably to rethink. Do you want to work? Do you want to study? Do you want to relocate? Do you want to go to Belgium, for instance, to study something there, right? So prepare the documents, learn the language, something like that. So reevaluate your life goals. 11th house is income from work, from career. In this case, if you have been promised long time some money, some income, then you will receive it. But if you just right now or like at autumn you expect payment, actually right now, summer, then you might wait till the planet goes direct again to receive your salary, for instance, your income. Friends, old friends can come to visit you from abroad, or you might revisit old group of people, of like-minded people, whether as class of studies or go back into some website. Maybe you need to reassess your own internet activity, readjust, retouch your blog, your website, so it can become more popular when Jupiter goes direct again. Or you again go into your yoga class and you meet some old friends from there, for example. Jupiter rules not only your 11th house, but also your 8th house. So you might rethink some financial strategies, what to invest into. Did you pay your taxes? Do you owe someone something? Now it's a good time to return it back. Maybe some old partner relationship can come back into your life. Old benefactor, maybe you were applying for a loan, for a credit from the bank or some state support, and now you get the answer that you get it actually. It might be on the other hand that you need to do a lot of paperwork and study the conditions and terms and everything in order to receive it, and you will receive it, but just after this careful preparation and after the planet goes direct again. For some of you, of course, it might be connected with 12th house and 8th house. Maybe you are kind of a little bit isolated because you are pregnant, because you have the news about pregnancy and it's an expectation, waiting time, so you're not so much social anymore. Yeah, so like 11th house, friends and parties is put on hold, and you are more in like some kind of clinics or just chilling out and relaxing. All right, dear Gemini, for you Jupiter is retrograde in your 11th house, and he rules important areas of your life, your 7th and 10th houses. So when Jupiter stations the last couple of days of July, you might feel overexcited, over social. You might meet tons of people, visit some interesting cultural, social events, be popular in internet, launch your website, your blog, uh, hustle and bustle really. Participate in group projects. Maybe you're arranging now your marriage, but then the planet goes retrograde, so all these things shrink. So a bit less of social life, a bit less of meetings and group projects. Maybe you need to focus more on yourself. Maybe old friends will revisit you. Then Jupiter goes back in the autumn a little bit into, for a while, into Pisces, your 10th house. So you might need to finish some work projects. You might come back to some old idea about your mission in life. You might remember that actually when you were a student you really liked anthropology. So maybe now you would think about it. Maybe now it's time to go back to anthropology. Maybe you are applying for a career rise, advancement, new position, but you need to learn something before they give it to you. You need to prepare. You need to take some course, for instance. And because Jupiter rules your 7th house, familiar old faces might come back into your life, old partners, someone from abroad possibly. It might be personal relationship, or it might be as well, of course, business partner. You might need to resign, reevaluate some contract, some deal. For the ones who are preparing a marriage, because 7th, 10th house is about a status with a partner. So if you are preparing a business with people, other people, with friends, or with one partner, you're looking now maybe for a good lawyer or good financial advisor, right? So that might take time, and you will definitely, now it's good to research and to prepare, and things will go again full steam ahead after Jupiter becomes again direct. Maybe old clients will come to you if you work with clients. Cancer, dear Cancer, for you Jupiter retrogrades in your 10th house. Well, first, the last couple of days of July, Jupiter becomes stationary in your 10th house. He rules your 6th and 9th. So there will be super emphasis and focus on your career, on your work, on your daily duties, studies, something related to documents, to travel, to foreigners, maybe at work, foreign colleagues, team, right? So that's a big success, big optimism when the planet is stationary. But then Jupiter goes backwards, retrograde. So if you were applying to some higher job position, you might need to wait those 4 months, not only passively waiting, but preparing, studying, improving your skills, refreshing your knowledge maybe, to then go full steam again into your new status and new position after Jupiter goes back direct. 6th house, of course, it might be that you will be again re-evaluating your health, taking the old diet, the old exercises that you left because of some reason, joining the old group of Pilates, for example. 9th house, you might visit old familiar places. You might need to deal a bit longer with some papers, documents, or even, because 6th house is kind of open enemies, and 9th house is the court and legal procedures. So maybe, unfortunately, you will be once again face to face with people who are suing you because of some reason, or you want the justice, right? So you go back to court, and maybe there will be a little bit of a delay, but then finally you will get your good statement and results. I think you'll probably have to finish some education as well. Leos, for you Jupiter goes retrograde in your 9th house, and he rules your 5th and 8th. Well, first he's stationing the last couple of days of July in your 9th house. So that's big focus on popularity, on you as an expert, as the idol of others, as the leader. maybe if you're doing something online, you can be very much exposed to people. Maybe you are publishing something, launching your business, graduating, receiving your certificates, your diplomas, going abroad, traveling. But then the planet goes backwards, retrograde, so this popularity might a little bit shrink and go down to earth. You might rethink your moral code, your belief system, your faith, because it's your ninth house. Old teachers you might turn to, old teachers, meeting friends or someone from abroad, dealing with documents, with legal court matters once again, or experiencing a delay in them, so you can properly prepare. Maybe you need a visa, you need to learn a language before you relocate, and then already in the autumn, once Jupiter goes again direct, you will go full steam in all those topics. Not only that, but also Jupiter rules 5th and 8th house, so it might be a topic about children. Maybe now you do need to do some examinations, go to some clinic, travel even abroad possibly for those things, or turn to some professors who might be experts in this in vitro procedures, IVF procedures. Then you might get pregnant in the autumn. On the other hand, we might talk about business, finances. Maybe you will be waiting, applying and waiting for government support or business partner to decide whether they want to join your project and have some shared resources. Maybe some old love can come back to your life. 5th house is romantic love and 8th house is intimate relationships. Or maybe you will be reevaluating your current relationships. Are they serious enough? Do you want them to continue or not? Maybe children, if you have adult kids and now they come to visit you and they stay for like a couple of months if they study or work abroad. And yeah, do make sure to give back if you owe someone something, like taxes, like credits, loans, or research if you want to apply for them. You might have some esoteric hobby or some hobby related to psychology. You might go back to your old business, old hobbies, old inspiration. Dear Virgos, for you Jupiter is retrograding in your 8th house. First, in the last couple of days of July, he's stationing. So there is a huge focus on presents, credits, people give you money, people support you, help you, your business partners, your spouse maybe, financially or psychologically. There might be big breakthrough in the work with your psychologist, because 8th house is about crisis and transformation, so you will receive the support for that. You can truly transform your life and get rid of some fears and traumas. Jupiter also rules your 4th and 7th house, so the tension or kind of the expansion can be about home, family members, your partner. Happy days. But then Jupiter goes retrograde for 4 months. So these areas are shrinking a little bit, narrowing down. You might need to wait for credits, loans. You might need to research the conditions, give back what you owe other people. Former partners might come back to your life. You might go back home to your country of origin to see your parents, grandparents, maybe with your partner. Maybe there you will meet your partner, someone from, the high school sweetheart. And suddenly your love will be ignited again. Who knows? Who knows? But if we talk about some if you are planning to sell or buy property, and 4th and 7th house is about lawyers and advisors and property managers, then you will need to prepare, look for them, evaluate, choose, right? Read carefully the contract, so looking for clients. looking for investments, really, in what to invest properly. So take your time, don't worry, research, learn, study. Maybe you are studying about in what to, in how we can make investments, right? And then in the autumn, once Jupiter goes direct again, you will be fully prepared for success and abundance, love, and having your new home, for instance. Dear Libras, for you, Jupiter goes retrograde in your 7th house. The last couple of days of July, the planet is stationed, so there is a big tension, big focus on it. So some big words, promises from your partner. Your partners might be super generous, optimistic. You might go traveling with them. You might establish a business with a business partner, signing some important deals. Jupiter rules your 3rd and 6th house. Also attention to documents, information, online business, promotions, and work and health as well. And then Jupiter goes for 4 months backwards, retrograding, so narrowing down these areas. So if you had like many admirers, now there are not so, there are fewer, let's say, but you still will be choosing. You have 4 months to choose to whom to give your heart and your hand in marriage, possibly. Maybe you're choosing your financial advisor. Maybe it's about clients, old clients might come to you. It might be related to your business online. You might repeatedly, if you have done already promotion, PR campaigns, then you can repeat those. 6th house, go again to doctors, do the same checkups. Go back to some old diet and daily routine and regime that was suiting you before. Maybe you need to repair your car, your vehicle, because 6th house is dealing with daily responsibilities and problems, and it might be that your car needs some attention and repairment. You might need to finish some education. 3rd house is about knowledge and skills. So maybe you should go back to driving license exam and take your driving license, right? Or other skills that will be very beneficial for your work, which will go forward as the planet Jupiter will turn again direct in late autumn. Dear Scorpios, for you, Jupiter retrogrades in your 6th house. The last couple of days of July, the planet is stationary, so there is big attention towards your health, kind of your diet, your exercises, your daily routine, because basically the body just gives signals about how do we live and take care of ourselves. Also, it's about work, so maybe there will be expansion of the office, new working space, more colleagues, people coming from the office abroad, so you will meet them. Jupiter rules your 2nd and 5th houses, so the focus is on source of income, money, work, and also maybe your business 5th house, or your health, your children, your loved one as well can be here on a focus. But then Jupiter goes retrograde for 4 months, so these areas will shrink, narrow down, and go back to kind of down to the ground, in a sense, more practicality. You will need more practicality in your daily routine, in your office, in your work, and regarding making money. You might need to wait to receive your salary, especially if it's about your business, if you're a freelancer, or some old money that you were expecting finally come to you when Jupiter goes backwards. After the 6th house, Jupiter will revisit for a moment your 5th house as well. So maybe some old love can reappear, old inspiration can come back to you. You might renew some hobby from the past, or of course reassess, readjust your business, the way that it can give you better results and income. Your children, if you have adult children, might come to visit you if they live or study somewhere abroad. Sagittarius, for you, Jupiter, of course, first thing first is your own ruler. So around the last couple of days of July, you will be either overexcited or quite overworked, possibly. A bit confused because your planet will be stationed on the sky, not moving neither forwards nor backwards. So it can be a moment of confusion and misunderstandings about your self and about life overall. Jupiter will be retrograding in your 5th house. So while it's stationed there, it's a huge focus on pleasure, joy, love, children, your inner child, happiness, business as well. But then the planet goes retrograde, so those things might go down to earth, become a little bit more practical, okay? Also, Jupiter rules your 1st and 4th houses. So we're talking here reassessment, attention to your body, to your health, to your home environment, family, parents, where you live. Yeah, your environment overall. So maybe you will need to change, you will want to change something. Where do you live? With whom do you live? Whether you want to live with your parents or maybe relocate with your partner. Maybe you are looking for a studio for your creative hobby. So you need an atelier. What else? You might go back home. You might go back to visit your family, your parents, your hometown. You might remember some old look of yours, color of a hair or something from the past, and you're like, hey, I liked how I looked like. So maybe you will come back to that old look. Work on your body. Plan your future. Don't worry, these 4 months when Jupiter is retrograde, you have the time to either go back to the past or kind of prepare, study, finish your studies, prepare for the new start which awaits you later this year when Jupiter goes direct again. Now you can be just kind of jumping into memories from childhood, for example. Dear Capricorns, for you, Jupiter stations and then goes retrograde first in your 4th house. So we're talking late July. It's about where do I live? How do I live? With whom do I live? Expansion, big celebration with my parents, going back home, rebuilding the place so it's bigger. But then the planet goes retrograde. So there is a little bit of a shrinking. So maybe you are doing reconstruction at home, but it's gonna be finished in November. So now you have to all live in one room because the other rooms are being reconstructed, right? Maybe you are collecting papers, documents, visas, learning language because you want to relocate somewhere else abroad. Jupiter rules your 12th and 3rd house, which talks a lot about studies or traveling, about internet, information, communication. Maybe you need to repair your car. Maybe you need to get rid of something old. So now possibly you are going back to your hometown and you decide that you don't want to live there anymore. It's too small for you now. You need something bigger. You need a new country, new place. So you are applying for some IT job or online marketing job, which you can do with your laptop from any place of the world. But 12th house is getting rid of bad habits, of fears, finding your spirituality, maybe contacting again your old guru or psychologist. And yeah, 3rd house, maybe revisiting your siblings or old neighborhood. Also going back to some old knowledge or skills or finishing some courses that you need for, let's say, for your home or for your work. Dear Aquarius, for you, Jupiter retrogrades in your 3rd house. First, it's stationed the last 2 days of last couple of days of July. There is this whole attention to study, knowledge, communication, online websites, your page, your blog, a lot of visitors, a lot of discussions, meeting people, selling, buying, some trading, some very successfully. You can put some advertisement for your business. Jupiter rules your 11th and 2nd house, so it's about money, income, maybe possibly from internet, possibly from group projects, friends, social activities, right? 11th house, but also your life goals and dreams. So when Jupiter then will be retrograde for 4 months, dear Aquarius, you will have time to revisit your old classmates, possibly your old neighborhood, meet with your siblings if you haven't seen them for a long time, go back to some old knowledge, skills, finish some courses that you left behind because of some reason. Old friends might come to you. You might join again the yoga class or touristic group, or maybe something related to Jupiter, a group of travelers or a reading club that you also left before. If you are waiting for payments, if you are just being promised a payment, it might need to wait until Jupiter is direct again. But if you've been waiting for a long time for remuneration from your career, work efforts, then now, while Jupiter is retrograde, people might decide to go back and give you this money, kind of remember about them, you know. While Jupiter is retrograde, reassess, rethink your life goals. What do you want to achieve alone or with co-workers, colleagues, friends? Where do you want to live? What car do you want to drive? What do you want to study? What skills can bring you better income? What job do you want to do? What's going on with your budget? Reassessing your budget, 2nd house. Your food regime as well, whether you want to become a vegetarian or follow some diets, and sources of income. Yeah, what is your source of income? And then you can proceed with the new ideas, with the new plans and goals after the planet goes again direct. Pisces, dear Pisces, for you Jupiter is your ancient ruler. So while it's stationed the last couple of days of July, you might feel overexcited, but at the same time a bit tired, a bit frustrated, a bit like intense, because your ruler doesn't know where to go. He's like stationed, doesn't move forward, neither still goes backwards, no speed. So there might be misunderstandings and so on. Jupiter stations in your 2nd house. So there is a focus on your work, on your sources of income. What do you value? Your value system you might reassess. And Jupiter rules your 1st and 10th house. So 1st house is of course health, is relationships, is the look, how do you look? And 10th house is your ambitions, your mission in life, how people see you. So possibly there will be actually Pisces attention towards you. Amazing if your source of income is actually something artistic, if you are on stage, a performer, for example, or artist. But then Jupiter goes retrograde for 4 months. So you have time to rethink all your personal initiatives. What would you like to build in your life? Where do you want to go forward? What you want to develop, with whom, your relationships, your look. Maybe you will remember how you looked like in high school and you will be like, hey, that was actually kind of cool. I liked this haircut and hairstyle, so I'll try it once again. Yeah, retro is something old. 10th house, you might need to finish something at work. Maybe you are applying for some new position, but before that you need to prepare, you need to learn something. Maybe you need to travel somewhere for a professional course. Requalification, for instance. Maybe it's about a status. Yeah, 1st and 10th house is like how people see you. Maybe you're considering a marriage or a divorce. In any case, things will clarify in the autumn once Jupiter moves direct, will become direct again after this 4 months. So it's gonna be great for money, for income, values and success in life overall. So thank you so much for your attention. I hope Jupiter will bring us only blessings, wisdom, luck and success, no matter what kind of a direction he has. May we be blessed with patience and with good fortune and with wisdom. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.